I'm here today to talk with Paul Charlton on his great friend, Les Gorley, who is going to be inducted into the Workington Hall of Fame. So first of all, Paul, just tell us about your first meeting that you ever had with Les.
Well, Gary, that one was when I'd finished at Salford in 1974. I signed for Workington Town in 1975, and I signed as the head coach or player coach, and that's the first time I met Les, and was pretty, how would you say, took back by the size of the guy, you know, and his attitude.
When you first met him, he was 25 years old?
Yeah, that'd be right.
What was it, the attributes you saw in him at that age that made him become a great player?
When I met Les, you know, he'd been playing for about 4 or 5 seasons, and I came in from Salford and became the head coach there, and I was assessing all the players and their attributes and everything. And Les was one of these guys that stood out. You know, he had a lot of character, he had a lot of passion, a lot of desire, a lot of height, a lot of weight, and a lot of speed, and that goes well for a player who eventually would become a Great Britain international.
One of the great things we've noticed, and it goes right back to all Great Britain players, they've always been able to have a great offloads. And Les was one of our players who had a great offload.
Yeah, one hell of a player. When I started playing with him, I found out which way he liked to pass the ball, you know, whether it was left or right. He was possibly better on the right than what he was on the left, and we used to talk to each other regularly through the game, and he would say, I'm going to this particular point, and I want you on the left side, I want you on the right side, and he'd give me a bucket full of tries, yeah, a bucket full of tries, and I was just finishing off the work that he created.
Attack is only one part of the game. The other part of the game is defence.
Yeah.
He was an aggressive defensive player.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't like to be running straight at Les, because he was the sort of player to pick up with one hand. He was that big a fella. And his presence on the field, like, I think people looked at him and said, Jesus, I'm not going to go near that guy, you know. They'd run the other way, and I'm sure I would have done the same.
To rise from working and go on and be an international player, you've got to have attitude.
Yeah, I've got attitude, yeah. And he had a great attitude. He also had the will to win, and he had a bit of a passion for the game. And all that wrapped into one makes a good player. It really does make a good player. And Les had those attributes, and eventually it did make him a great player.
You actually saw in Les, when you first went there in 1975, when he was only 25-year-old, you even sensed then that he had the class to go on and become an international.
Oh, he certainly had. You know, he just, how can I put it, he just had to steady his game a bit. Maybe he was a bit flamboyant at first, but he steadied down, and he got his act together. And as you see, further on in his career, he became an international. And you don't get picked for England if you're no good, mate.
You got to have passion.
Yeah, you got to have passion, you got to have the desire. And he had all that. He had all that.
He was first selected to play for England whilst you were his coach. Tell us about your very first thoughts when you first ever saw him play.
Yeah. When I first saw him play, you know, I think what Leslie lacked at that particular time was just a little bit of experience in the game. And eventually, as the team developed at Workington in that particular era, he was playing with some good players as well. And those good players were rubbing off onto him, and Leslie was getting a bit more creative, a bit more flamboyant to play. You know, he was a player that you just couldn't hold down. He could offload the ball, he could run, big strong runner, could create gaps, he could do anything. You know, and these are the attributes that you've got to have if you're going to become a better player in the game. And also his desire for the game was unbelievable.
As well as you coaching Les and being and playing with him, you also share another part of life and it's outside of football. You're both carpenters.
Yeah, we were. That's very, very unusual. That's life, you know. He chose that direction to go with his work or his trade, and I chose the same way. And then, as it happened, we both chose to play football as well. So that's one of these things that happens along the line. Yeah, I do believe he's still got my hammer.
The great series of competitions in Great Britain is the Challenge Cup. Not many players really get to even play in it.
That's right. That's right.
Les Gorley appeared in 5 Challenge Cups, even though it wasn't for Workington, it was for Widnes, just to show what a great player and a great experiences he would have had playing at Wembley.
That's amazing, you know. You did mention there about some great players who never made, even got near a cup final or a Challenge Cup final. And unfortunately, there's a lot of players that I know that have not, and I'm in that category as well. I've never made it. I never played a Challenge Cup final. Played in every other final, but never played in a Challenge Cup final. Some guys who go to a certain club can play, as Les did, 3 or 4 seasons on the trot. And the only thing I can say is best of luck to the boys.
Played against Australia, international level. Unfortunately, he ran across one of the greatest teams Australia had ever produced.
That's right.
The Australian Invincibles. He played in the first test in 1982, and Australia defeated Great Britain 40-4.
That's right. That would be at Hull, was it?
Yes, at Booth Ferry Park.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that was a really, really bad day for Great Britain. Unfortunately, a massive crowd turned up. Both teams turned up to play, but unfortunately, one team on that particular day only played, and that was Australia. They hammered England, or Great Britain. You know.
That was a great side.
It was a great side. You know, some great players there.
Say something.
I just want to say that Les, you know, it's been a great honour to play with you, play against you as well. That was something special. But I just want to wish you all the very best as tonight is in your acceptance into the Workington Town Hall of Fame. And I'm 10,000 miles away, mate, but I'll be with you shortly. Thanks, mate.